We're into the second week of War the Spark previews, and powerful cards are flying all over the place, including Planeswalkers, legendary creatures, vehicles, and a bunch more. If you've missed any War the Spark nonsense up to this point, you can click the first link in the description to check out our playlist. I do hope you enjoy our continuing War the Spark preview coverage, and if you do, remember to hit that like button, helps out a lot. Parhelion 2 is 6 of anything and 2 white for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying, first strike, vigilance, and crew 4. Whenever it attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. This card's insane, like it's actually outrageous. Don't get me wrong, I can see the 8 casting cost, I can see it right there, but if this gets to attack, it's like a souped up Geist of Saint draft. It's difficult to kill in combat with 5 power and first strike. It doesn't tap to attack, and it brings 8 power in the air that also doesn't tap to attack, and then the 4/4s can crew the Parhelion. All you need to do is find a way for this thing to attack a single time, and that's 13 power in the air that can block next turn and continue to crew the Parhelion. One of the biggest cards we've seen in recent years. Stick this with a Thran Temporal Gateway and I'm giddy as heck. Seriously, this card is gigantic and awesome. Sunblade Angel is 6 mana for a 3/3 angel with flying, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. Well, aren't we just spattering on the mechanics? Wowza. This 3/3 angel for 6 gets better and better with each word you read. 6 mana for a 3/3 angel with flying and first strike is weirdly limited playable already. It isn't stupendous, but it'll beat most things in the air. Vigilance gives it free attacks and avoids tap-based removal. Then lifelink is just super gravy, giving you free life while you get to swing for free and beat most creatures in combat. Stick enough keywords on something, it becomes real good. Sunblade Angel without direct removal is very difficult to deal with, easily limited playable, no question. Eternal Sky Lord is 5 mana for a 3/3 zombie wizard. When it enters the battlefield, amass 2 zombie tokens you control have flying. Whoa, more zombie token synergy. 5 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 or +2/+2 to your zombie army is pretty decent mana wise, like that's already fine. But then granting all of your zombie tokens flying? Another card that's designed for a zombie commander deck, again looking at you, Scarab God. The Sky Lord should easily see play in limited, but it's probably too expensive to see any kind of standard success. It's good, but 5 mana is usually a bit too expensive for a card like this to push constructed play. Kasmina Enigmatic Mentor is 4 mana for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Spells your opponents cast that targeted creature or planeswalker you control cost 2 more to cast. You can -2 and create a 2/2 blue wizard token, draw a card, then discard a card. This is easily one of the most versatile and common planeswalkers we've seen. She does a lot. The fiery redhead comes down and immediately taxes your opponent if they want to cast any targeted spell against your stuff. She then immediately creates a blocker that shares that protection, and she filters cards for you. That's seriously a lot for an uncommon walker at 4 mana. She can only activate her ability twice before needing some help, but that's still 4 mana for 2 2/2s, 2 loot effects, and basically an enchantment that taxes your opponent's direct removal. I really enjoy this card for limited. It's solid in blue decks and Commander, especially Wizard Tribal ones. And who knows, maybe she can see standard play in the sideboard of a deck trying to fight mid-game removal. Regardless, it's a very cool card. Chandra, Fire Artisan, is 2 of anything and 2 red for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Whenever one or more loyalty counters are removed from Chandra, she deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. You can +1 and exile the top card of your library you may play at this turn. You can also -7 and exile the top 7 cards of your library you may play them this turn. That static ability is so rad. Whenever loyalty counters are removed, it means that when she's attacked, she immediately gets retribution, dealing damage to any opponent or planeswalker. Worst case scenario, she absorbs walker removal or is attacked and gets to deal 4 damage, either doming an opponent or probably killing another planeswalker. I don't find her +1 or -7 all that interesting, but they are pseudo card advantage for red. Really, her value is in that static ability. It is a strong and huge threat on the board. I love it. Jaya, Venerated Fire Mage, is 4 of anything and 1 red for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. If another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. You can -2 and Jaya deals 2 damage to any target. That static ability is brilliant. What a nice top end for an aggressive red deck. It reminds me of the finale from Flame of Keld. Obviously less powerful, but it stays around. She's appropriately costed for limited, as standard red decks don't really want to cast something like this for 5 mana, but still, that static ability is pretty great. Museum Tank is one of anything and 2 red for a 3/2 artifact vehicle with trample and a crew cost of 1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, the tank becomes an artifact creature and gets +1/+1 until end of turn. This card is sweet. The crew cost is already as low as it can get without being 0, but even if you can't make that happen, you don't need to. 3 mana for a 3/2 with trample that gets buffed whenever you cast a non-creature spell is actually pretty decent on the face of it. Attacking with a 4/3 trampler from a single burn spell, pretty good. Getting an additional blocker out of nowhere by casting a combat trick, pretty good. This is good enough to see play unlimited for sure thanks to the easy crew and non-crew creature clause. And I'd really like to see it in a format like Standard, possibly in a spell slinging deck, a shell using most of the cards in blue-red drakes, probably. It's interesting. Evolution Sage is 3 mana for a 3/2 elf druid. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate? Wait, what? Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control? Seriously? That's so easy to trigger, it's almost laughable. I actually don't know how this card isn't uncommon, but for the sake of Commander, thank goodness, because wow, is this a staple forever. Even in Standard, we still have Crucible of Worlds and Scape Shift, so I mean, walkers.deck? I really can't get past how crazy good this card is and how it will see eternal play in Commander. If you enjoy foiling out Commander decks, it may be worth a look at foil copies of the Sage, my goodness. Dovin, Hand of Control, is 2 of anything in 1 hybrid white and blue mana for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Artifact, instant, and sorcery spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more to cast. You can -1, and until your next turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by target permanent on opponent controls. I love this card. This is Azorius control in a single card. It's hilarious. I love it. It's beautiful. Dovin drops early with solid cast versatility, comes with a decent amount of loyalty, and keeps a permanent from messing with you for 5 turns unless he's destroyed, and he taxes your opponent's spells. The artifacts I might not be worried about, but instants and sorceries, yes please. He can turn off Thief of Sanity, Hydrate Krasis, any of the Drakes, Niv Mizzet actually, which is pretty cool. I like him a lot. He's not flashy, but definitely functionally strong. Feather, the Whoa, Feather's back? Sick! Okay. Feather is 1 red and 2 white for a 3/4 legendary creature angel with flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Holy crap on a stick, Batman! This is one of the best, most impactful cards we've seen out of the set so far, not even close. 3 mana for a 3/4 flyer is already outrageous, even with those colors, but that ability is going to change Boros and Commander for a long time. Finally a new archetype for the color pair. I'm talking Sunforger for days. Feather is stupidly strong, letting you buy back your spells for basically nothing. Talk about card advantage, totally absurd. If Feather can survive for even just a few casts of your spells at a time, the card advantage you're gaining is akin to a blue or black deck. Think about it. You get the cards back into your hand. It's not like you cast them again and they go to exile. You can literally keep targeting your creatures with spells that let you draw cards, get them back, do it again. You get to run an aggressive deck with card advantage. Finally, something new and exciting Boros can do. Feather is so sick. Ral, Storm Conduit, is 2 of anything, 1 blue and 1 red for a 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, Ral deals 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. You can +2 and scry 1. You can also -2, and when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. The most interesting thing about this card is that first ability. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it deals 1 damage. It actually cares about copying spells. That's really cool. As pointed out already, with Ral and 2 expansions, he can go infinite, continually casting expansion, copying, and copying that all along the way, getting Ral's trigger, and then winning the game. That's something I'd like to try in Standard, I'll tell you that right now. Aside from that, he is a bit less powerful than the Ral we've come to know and hate, but he performs a different function, essentially becoming a copy tribal walker. It's a really interesting card, I like it a lot. Rolisk, Apex Hybrid, is 2 of anything, 2 green and 1 blue for a 4/5 legendary creature human mutant with flying and trample. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control. When Rolisk dies, proliferate, then proliferate again. Rolisk is the Simic embodied in a single card. Flying and trample check, gives +1/+1 counters on entry to the battlefield, triggering adapt on anything relevant. Then it dies, adding to those counters, triggering abilities again, then adds more counters, triggering abilities again. Look. Rolisk was made to be the champion of the Simic in the set, obviously. What's cool to me is that this can go into any creature deck. Hydrate Krasis gets additional value from this, Growth Chamber Guardian, Incubation Druid, Benthic Biomancer. You know, with a card that throws this many counters around, Simic Ascendancy could use some testing. Rolisk is 5 mana for a 4/5 with 2 relevant keywords that brings an additional 2 power and toughness, and then at the very least, when it dies, it doubles that. At the very least. This isn't Hydrate Krasis by any means, but the dude has synergy up the wazoo. Saheeli, Sublime Artificer, is one of anything and 2 hybrid blue and red mana for a 5 loyalty legendary Planeswalker. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. You can -2 and target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. Whoa, Saheeli is dynamic this time around and I am loving it. Coming with her signature Spells Matter vibe, creating 1/1 servos is a nice touch, but wow does that synergize with her -2, basically turning those servos into the best artifact or creature on the board. Considering this color combination, the most likely target for a card like this is blue-red drakes. How can it not be? Create servos by spell slinging, then turn them into giant drakes? That's a lot of value, and I can easily see room for Saheeli in that deck, especially in the sideboard. Excellent card to create a bunch of blockers, attackers, give some rebuilding power after a wrath. I'm really enjoying the uncommon Planeswalkers we've seen today. Saheeli is just beautiful. Solar Blaze is 2 of anything, 1 red and 1 white for a sorcery. Each creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. So basically we're looking at Justice Strike, but everything is being justiced instead. Anyways, this is a 4 mana board wipe against most creatures that aren't Wild Growth Walker. I think the idea here is to give Jeskai something a little bigger than Deafening Clarion, but at a more affordable cost than Cleansing Nova. Unfortunately, this does miss a lot of the important creatures in Standard right now, with Danto Vanguard, Tristani, Wild Growth Walker as previously mentioned, both Enigma and Crackling Drakes if it's too early in the game, Shalai, Incubation Druid, you get my point. Regardless, this is a 4 mana board wipe for Jeskai. It's Boros' answer to Kaya's Wrath, less color restrictive, still powerful. I think it'll see at least some play, but the jury's out on whether or not this is better than Cleansing Nova, in a deck that also already plays Deafening Clarion. We'll see. So many Planeswalkers, so many legendary creatures, we keep seeing amazing cards and I'm just off the wall with excitement. What do you think of today's previews? Personally, I'm basically freaking out over Feather and the Parhelion. I can't get over just how crazy both of those cards are. What do you think? What do you like, dislike? What are you still waiting for? What do you want? Please talk to me. I need friends, so again, be my friends. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel for the latest and most reliable War of the Spark preview information you could ever need. And as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com, where the Spark booster boxes are pre-ordering right now for $97 each, much cheaper than a lot of online retailers. If you don't have a local game store or yours is charging way too much, I got you back right here. Click the link on the screen. You can get boxes delivered right to your door on release and helps the channel out a bunch. All you gotta do is click. Great prices, reliable service, helps the channel not die. Win-win for everyone. Enjoy.
Wow.